nothing will stand in our way, and our golden age has just begun.
This is Human Events with Jack Posobiec.
Now it's time for everyone to understand what America First truly means.
Welcome to the Second American Revolution.
All right, Jack Posobiec, we're back here. Human Events Daily, Real America's Voice. Folks, what can I say? You know, you look at the things that are going on out there. You look at the left, you look at the violence, you look at the insanity, and I'll tell you, you'd think it might ruin your day, but that's not going to ruin my day. And the stuff we're up against isn't going to ruin my day, and I'll tell you why. Because I start my day with a hot America First cup of Blackout Coffee. And Blackout Coffee is 100% America. Blackout Coffee is 100% committed to conservative values. From sourcing the beans to the roasting process, customer support and shipping, they embody true American values and accept no compromise on taste or quality. Look, I love this stuff. You guys can love it too. Go and get yourself. We know Christmas is coming up. It makes a really, really great gift. You don't have to think about it. You can order, you can get an entire year subscription. If you go to blackoutcoffee.com/POSO, use promo code POSO20, you get 20% off your first order. Look, the kids are back in school. Moms are working overtime. It's never too soon to give mom and those close to your heart the gift of being awake, not woke with Blackout Coffee. That's blackoutcoffee.com/POSO, blackoutcoffee.com/POSO, promo code POSO20. Very excited now to bring on our next guest, someone that I've been remiss for not having her on in in a little while, and it's just been a blur. Ladies and gentlemen, my favorite anti-communist, Evita Duffy, joins us. Evita, how are you?
Doing good, Jack. Thanks for having me.
And my gosh, I can't believe that today is 1 month since the murder of Charlie Kirk. Evita, tell us if you can, look, I don't live on TikTok. I'm not Gen Z. What was it about the Charlie Kirk murder that was so shocking to Gen Z and even Gen Alpha as people are reaching out to me? What was it about this? I mean, because I have people telling me that Charlie Kirk's murder is like the Gen Z 9/11.
Well, that's a really accurate description, I would say, Jack. And it was funny, after it happened, both of my parents started to watch all these old Charlie Kirk videos, as like a lot of, Gen X, boomer Americans were trying to figure out, who is this man? Like, why is there such an emotional reaction to it? And they fell in love with him and what he was preaching. But for Gen Zers and Gen Alpha, Charlie Kirk was like a friend in our lives. Or maybe he was, if you're a leftist, right? He's an annoyance in your daily life, but he was everywhere. He was all over social media. Not only was he all over social media, mega viral, but he was actually present physically on American college campuses. He's like a fixture of Gen Z politics and what we view the idea of political debate to be. So he was really somebody that a lot of people felt like they knew, even if they didn't. And so it was incredibly impactful on so many Americans' lives. And
I think there's something too where, Charlie was the kind of guy, he wasn't going to violent, these riots. He wasn't covering them. He wasn't a citizen journalist, a street journalist type. I mean, he was a citizen organizer for sure. But I guess what I mean to say is that Charlie didn't go out seeking violence or anything like this. He would sit on campus and he would ask people to come and debate him and hold these discussions, and they'd go back and forth on the issues. And it was so shocking that no one ever expected it. And there had never been the sort of, situation where Charlie had been, punched, or someone would leap at him from the microphone stand, or, something like that. And I've thought so many times, like, why couldn't it have just been one of those? But no, the very first one where someone tries to do something like this on campus, and this is what happened. Evita, I know it's early to say, but do you think that the rise of political violence, and I have to say it though, and I mentioned this to President Trump earlier this week, I specifically was making the point that on the left, on the far left, Gen Z is extremely violent. Why is that?
Well, Jack, I would say that actually Gen Z is far right and far left. Like we've embraced both political extremes for better or for worse. And I first of all, there's the indoctrination of the college campuses. This is why Charlie Kirk was present on college campuses, because he understood that this is where the battle is at. This is where young people are being radicalized. Our institution, specifically the university system, has been infiltrated by leftists, by radical Marxists for decades, and they are destroying the minds of American youth. There's also the element of social media and radical corners of the internet. You hear all about right-wing violence, right-wing extremism, and radicalization. Hardly ever are we talking about left-wing radicalization. And it's true that there are massive and very deep, dark corners of the web where these people are living and growing this kind of radical sentiment. And I think that I don't think it's a mistake that Charlie Kirk was the one who was targeted. I don't think it's a mistake that regular Americans on the street are targeted. Charlie Kirk was not inflammatory. Charlie Kirk was on college campuses. Yes, he was debating, but he was deeply respectful. He wasn't trying to have gotcha questions with the kids. He was trying to have a dialogue. And radical leftists hate ordinary good people because they view them as complicit in the injustice of the system that they claim to be fighting. And so the victims of left-wing violence always are the good people. That's what I concluded after Charlie Kirk died. He said, why wasn't it a radical right wing, or somebody who's way far on the right who's trying to enrage people? No, it was Charlie Kirk, and it makes sense why it was Charlie Kirk, because they always target Charlie Kirks.
No, and this is what's so clear. And Evita, you first started coming on this show about, I don't know, 2 years ago now. And this is what we were talking about. We were talking about the rise of political violence in the United States. And we were specifically referencing the story that you had told about the Spanish Civil War, your family's own history. I hate to say this, but did you ever really think that it would get this bad, that the parallels would be happening so directly to what happened almost 100 years ago?
You know what? No, I honestly, I've been shocked. Well, here's what I'll say. I have been shocked by what I've seen over the last few years, but I was deeply scarred by BLM in 2020. I think a lot of young people were. I think that was a major turning point for a lot of people, to turn to the political right, because on these college campuses and in major American cities, these radical leftists burned things down. And not only did they just burn buildings and loot stores, but they also tried to tear down our history. They attacked the essence of America. They attacked who we are as a people, our heritage. And this is what they always do. This is what they did during the Spanish Civil War. They attacked the Catholic faith. They attacked the Spanish Empire. This is what they do in Britain and in Poland and in any other country where leftists are trying to infiltrate the cultural identity of the nation. They tear down the true identity of the people. This is what they do.
Is what they do every single time, because the insanity that is a sickness that is real, it's spreading. President Trump, of course, held the roundtable a couple of days ago now. I was honored to be a small part of that, along with people like my friend Andy No, my colleague Katie Davis-Court, Savannah Hernandez, Jonathan Cho, so many people that have gone up against them in the past. But I do think, though, Evita, that people seem to have this idea, maybe the wrong idea, that this is something new, when in fact it's not new. And that's one of the first things I said to the president, was that this organization, this ideology, it's existed for over 100 years. This is what led to the destabilization of the Weimar Republic. This is what led to the Spanish Civil War. They were Bolsheviks. They were funded by the Bolsheviks as the international arm of communism. And it started in Europe, and then it came to the United States. It's absolutely a foreign terrorist organization. And it's crazy to me to think that, that people would even question that.
Well, the worst part is that we're funding it, Jack. We are funding these schools that have carried on this tradition. It's even before the Weimar Republic, where you have the French Revolution. And I think the through line for all of this. Yes, they're trying to, go against the proletariat, or they have all these similar catchphrases, the people are rising up, whatever it is. The through line really, I think, Jack, is a hatred of Christianity. It's a hatred of God himself. That is the real thing in common that they all have. They always go after the Christians. And people were making fun of conservatives for saying that Charlie Kirk is a martyr. He is a martyr. What really gets them, what really enrages them, is not his commentary on taxes or foreign policy or even transgenderism, whatever it is. It's his Christian faith that is informing his views, and it's his Christian faith that truly enrages them and will drive a radical leftist to murder you. That is the essence of their ideology. It is a hatred of God himself.
Well, it's a hatred of God because they hate God for creating them. Because ultimately they hate themselves. They hate the world. They hate God for creating the world. And they hate God for creating them. And so because they can't attack God directly, no one can. Lucifer tried, and that didn't work out well for him. They attack God's creations. They attack life. They attack humanity. They are anti-humanity. And I wrote an entire book about this last year, trying to unpack this ideology to explain to people that it's not about equality. It's not about social justice. It's not about seeking a better living standard for people. No, it's not about that at all. It is about tearing down. It is about destroying. It is about uglifying. And it is about corrupting. It is evil. It is the politicization and weaponization of envy, of sin. And that is what this Marxism, this godless, filthy communism, turns people into. Evita Duffy, my favorite anti-communist, we are on with you. We're taking a quick break. We'll be right back here, Real America's Voice, Human Events Daily, because I want to ask Evita, why does the mainstream media keep covering this up, and do people still believe them? We'll be right back.